All right, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Jennifer Quiroz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Financial Empowerment Network. I use she, her pronouns. And welcome to our June workshop, Making Home Ownership Accessible, Spotlights on Opportunities and Resources to Get Ready. I am really excited about this topic and also about this fantastic panel that we have with us today. My hope is that you are going to hear information today that will be useful for your clients, but also that you learn something that you are going to be able to use yourself today as well. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. Go ahead if you haven't done so yet and introduce yourself in the chat so everyone gets a sense of who's here today. And please make sure you're muted. If you would like to see closed captions, they are enabled, and you can use the captions button on your Zoom toolbar to turn those on for yourself. We have a big panel today, and so we are going to have time for Q&A, but it's going to be towards the end. So if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to drop them in the chat, or once we get to that portion, we will also, folks can raise their hand and we can call on folks to ask questions out loud if that's easier for you than typing them into the chat. But just know that will be towards the end today because we do have such a large panel. And the last thing is that this webinar is being recorded. And so if you do not wish to appear on the recording and want to keep your camera off, that's okay. The recording should be available by the end of this week, if not sooner, and an email will go out with that information as soon as it's ready, and also a certificate for attending today. You will receive a certificate for attending. If you don't get those emails, check your spam filter because sometimes the emails end up in there. All right. Oh, and the last thing is that the materials from today, the slideshow that I am showing right now and other resources are all available in a shared folder and box, and I'll drop that link in the chat in just a moment. All right. So I want to just very briefly share a little bit about the Financial Empowerment Network for those of you who may be new and don't know as much about us. We are a nonprofit that envisions communities where low and moderate income individuals and families are able to achieve financial well-being. And we do that through advancing financial empowerment through partnerships that support access to affordable, effective, and relevant services, products, and resources. So what does that mean? Well, we are a network. We don't provide direct services to community members, but we do support direct service providers. So I like to say that we are the financial educators of the financial educators. So today we are talking about a topic, home ownership, that is both relevant to clients and community members that you work with, but also yourselves as well. And that is by design. I want to mention a few upcoming events that we have. Today is our June workshop, and we offer workshops pretty much every month that are free and virtual. In July, it's hard to believe we're talking about July already, but in July, our workshop is going to be on preventing fraud and avoiding scams, presented by the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. And so we'd love to invite you to join us. You can scan that QR code or go to our events page, which is noted right there. I'll drop the direct link to register into the chat as well once I'm done talking. So if you'd like to register for our next workshop, that's what we'll be doing. And then just a few other things. We host a monthly community of practice focused on financial coaching, and that's open to anyone who is supporting their clients' financial well-being. It's really about building community across Washington. We meet the fourth Wednesday of every month from 2 to 3:30. There's the link, and I'll drop it in the chat in just a moment. This month, we are going to be building off of today's workshop topic and talking about how we support clients in dreaming their big, bold, audacious dreams. Because today we're talking about home ownership, and that can feel really far off for a lot of people who are struggling financially, who might be unhoused or are barely making it month to month. And so we're going to talk about that. How do we hold both of those realities at the same time that folks are struggling financially and that they could be homeowners. And so, what are the self-limiting beliefs that our clients might be thinking, but also what are the ways that we might be limiting our clients' growth, and how do we coach through that? So I'm very excited about that topic. If you're interested, like I said, I'll drop the direct link in the chat in just a moment. We also host a foreclosure prevention work group that meets the third Wednesday of each month, which is tomorrow from noon to 1:30. And that is co-facilitated by Tom McKay of Northwest Justice Project and Linda Taylor of the Urban League. If you're interested in joining that group, just send me a note in the chat or send me an email, and I will get you that information as well. And a couple of quick announcements. We do have a statewide financial wellness provider directory where you can find organizations that offer financial education, coaching, counseling services on our website. And we have a job board. So check out our fenwa.org/jobs. If you are either hiring, you can post a job there, or if you are looking for work, I won't tell anyone, and you can go check out the positions that are there. Last time I looked, I believe there were 6 jobs posted. So go over there and take a look. Last thing is that Financial Empowerment Network is the lead organization for Bank on Washington. And so Bank On, for those of you that don't know, is a national initiative that was developed to meet the needs of and underbanked folks to get them connected to safe, affordable, and accessible accounts. So these Bank On certified accounts are low cost, low barrier, designed for folks who have limited or difficult banking history. The specific features of the accounts are available on that website there. There's also some that are available to be opened fully online where someone wouldn't even have to go into a bank branch. There are over 300 Bank On certified accounts across the US, including 17 here in Washington State, which you can find on the Bank On Washington website. And our role at the network is twofold. So we work with financial institutions towards offering those Bank On certified accounts. And we do outreach with community members to let them know that those accounts exist and are available. But we also are a convener. And so to that end, we are very excited to let everyone know to save the date, October 23rd and 24th. We will be hosting our 2023 Bank on Washington Annual Forum in Everett. And the theme this year is Fostering Financial Belonging, Connect, Expand, Strengthen, and Empower. I am very excited about how the agenda is shaping up. We have a fantastic planning team, many of whom are here today. So shout out to the Bank On Forum planners. Thank you for your time in putting all of this together. And everyone, please hold those dates. More information will be coming soon about the upcoming forum. All right, so there's lots of ways to stay in touch with us. We have our website, fenwa.org. We also have the Bank on Washington site. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, or you can email, stay in touch with us. And with that, I want to stop talking and be able to turn towards the reason that we're here today, which is to talk about accessible home ownership. So just reminders again, if you haven't done so, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. The closed captions are enabled, so go ahead and turn those on if that would be helpful for you. And if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And as we get towards the end, there will also be some time for folks to raise their hands and ask the questions out loud if you would prefer. So we will be doing that when we get towards the end. All right, and so with that, I would like to pivot, and I'd like to start by introducing Elizabeth Perez, who is our moderator today. Thank you, Elizabeth, so much for your help in planning this workshop and putting it all together, and also in moderating the conversation today. So Elizabeth is Deputy Director at the Washington Homeownership Resource Center, a nonprofit dedicated to educating and empowering current and future homeowners across Washington. Elizabeth spent the first several chapters of her career as a teacher, advisor, and administrator supporting communities underserved by K-12 and higher education. At the Washington Homeownership Resource Center, Elizabeth applies her skills as an equity-minded leader, problem solver, educator, community builder, and financial wellness geek to another deeply meaningful mission, helping Washingtonians statewide attain and retain home ownership. And Elizabeth resides in beautiful Pullman, Washington. So all the way from Pullman, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being with us here today. And I will turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you virtually today, and I'm excited to share information about Washington Homeownership Resource Center, but then also moderate our panel of affordable homeownership superstars statewide to be able to share more information about the abundant resources and information and just help that's available to folks looking to become homeowners and keep their homes in our state. So first off, just a few minutes to talk about WHRC, Washington Homeownership Resource Center. We are a nonprofit that serves the whole state. So I'm based in Pullman. We've also got Raquel here today, my colleague who's based in the Tri-Cities area. We've got folks far and wide. And we serve people in a few different capacities. One is we serve current homeowners. We serve as the state's official foreclosure prevention hotline. So through the Foreclosure Fairness Act for the state of Washington, which came about really as a result of the Great Recession and the housing crisis that ensued. One of the several stipulations in the Foreclosure Fairness Act is that there would be a statewide hotline for folks to be able to call in if they are facing foreclosure. And through that hotline, anyone facing mortgage, tax, or homeowner association foreclosure can call and receive information as well as referral to vetted resources such as HUD certified housing counselors, legal aid, and more. So that's kind of the main thing that we're known for, is that foreclosure prevention hotline. The other thing that we do is we support home buyers. And so similarly, we operate as an information and referral hub, the same way we do for foreclosure prevention. We're also a great resource for home buyers. So if someone wants to buy their first home, maybe isn't sure where to start or wants to know what resources are available to them based on their location, their income, special circumstances, etc., they can call our hotline or engage with us via our online portal on our website. And we take some initial intake information and then are able to kind of assess that person's needs and what might be available to them, and we can make those connections. So it's really nice to have a starting point when you're looking to purchase a home, and we're glad to serve as that starting point for people and hopefully make the big complex world of homeownership a little smaller and more accessible. We are partners in the Black Home Initiative, which our friend Marty Koister will present on later. And I have our hotline and our online portal listed here. I'll also put my email in the chat. Another key thing we do is connect folks around home repair and modification. So different counties, municipalities, and nonprofit organizations and others offer home repair modification for folks throughout our state. And it sometimes is hard to figure out what's available in your area and how to get started, or even if you qualify for home repair assistance or modification. So again, we have our toll-free number here and our online portal, and I'll put my email in the chat. And if folks have questions that we don't get to today or anything like that, you have my information. But in short, we're just that, first starting point, information and referral service. If anyone has home ownership related questions, that's our jam. That's what we're here for. And a lot of the partners that we'll hear from today are referral partners for WHRC. So with that, I don't want to take too much time. What I would like to do is turn the time over to our next panelist. I would love to introduce Kim Toski. Kim Toski is a legend in our state and region and everywhere for affordable home ownership. And there's so much that I can say, but I know that Kim probably will talk about Homes and Hope Community Land Trust. And I think that Kim is just a visionary and wonderful resource around all things CLTs, as we call them, or community land trusts, which is a great model of affordable home ownership that many Washingtonians just don't know about. So Kim is an advocate, a leader. She serves on the boards of Washington Low Income Housing Alliance, the Northwest Community Land Trust Coalition, and the Housing Consortium of Everett and Snohomish counties. She has been on multiple boards, including ours at Washington Homeownership Resource Center. She's just got so much knowledge and experience. Please check out her bio later. But I want to turn the time over to her so that she can share her wisdom, expertise, and resources with you today. So with that, take it away, Kim.
Hi there, Elizabeth. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I was looking around to see who you were talking about. Anyways, I want to talk about affordable home ownership, but I want to also explain to you that the stories that I have that came from Washingtonians over, now I was doing the math, over more than 20 years time, I've had the opportunity to help more than 1,000 families become homeowners in our state. And that is really a gift. And so if you have just some sort of strange thing that comes up and you can't find anyone who has an answer, feel free to shoot me an email, because I may have an answer, or I may have a little thread of resolution that you could use. So beginning almost 15 years ago, I was connected to the community land trust world, and it blew my mind. What could be more fundamental than community-owned assets and maintaining affordability so that the community that you love, the neighborhood where you are, remains accessible and not just doesn't get gentrified, but your kids could live there. I mean, I live in Mukilteo, and I remember the first time there was a Mercedes on the street, because before that they were all Volvos and Subarus, right? And there's nothing wrong with Mercedes, there's nothing wrong with Volvos and Subarus, but everybody in the neighborhood started chatting because somebody had enough money and was foolish enough to spend it on a Mercedes. So anyhow, I got lost in the weeds. The way community land trusts work, it's more than a 50-year-old model. It is international. The largest community land trust in the world is in Vermont, here in the US. And the oldest continuously operating community land trusts, one of them is here in Washington State, and the other one is also in New England. This came out of the same civil rights movement in the South during the 50s and 60s as Habitat, and as Martin Luther King Jr. He and his cousin, in fact, was integral to the foundation of the first community land trust. So how this works is the community retains ownership of the land, and you as the home buyer, you're buying the improvement on the land. There's a 99-year lease, which is renewable and inheritable and transferable. It's renewable, so that's 198 years. That's a very long arc, right? That leasehold then guarantees that the property will remain proportionally affordable. So what about wealth building, Kim Tosky? What about this? What about that? Right. What about all those things? Those are all important things. And so there are three major categories of resale formulas. Most of Washington uses the fixed appreciation or the appraisal method. The appraisal method's complicated, and it's mostly Eastern Washington that uses that. The fixed appreciation is very simple and straightforward. You are informed ahead of time that your home will appreciate at this fixed amount per year, assuming that you take reasonable care and maintenance of your home. And what that means is that over time, if you are making 78% of median income, over time, you will still have equity, you will still have money when you go to sell, but you will be, and the new buyer will be at approximately 78% of median income. So who are these buyers, Kim Tosky, and how could I afford to buy a home? Well, in this heart, which I've shrunk the font down super small, but you can blow it up on your screen, are the names of CLT homeowners whose loans I did or whose colleagues did their loans. And you'll see the very bottom of the heart, school teacher, artist, mom. Up near the top, nurse, wait staff, insurance agent. These are all folks we need to have in our community. So I am able to talk about CLTs statewide and especially able to talk about Snohomish County Homes and Hope Community Land Trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Ali Shaybani. Ali is currently the Director of Homeowner Services at Habitat for Humanity of Seattle, King, and Kittitas counties. Ali's been in lending for a long time, since 2006, and transitioned from for-profit finance to Habitat in 2013, with an initial focus on very low-income first-time home buyers. He then worked at HomeSite, another key partner in affordable home ownership, and has had portfolios as large as $44 million of deferred and amortizing loans. He focused initially on expanding HomeSite's ability to serve, and then worked to certify them to serve Hispanic borrowers, created an I-10 lending product, and also helped to create HomeSite's first special purpose credit program. And that is a product that has been specifically designed to support Black first-time home buyers. Ali continues to support the increase in access to homeownership for working income home buyers, and helped create the debt barrier removal program unique to Habitat Seattle, King, Kittitas, to expand homeownership for communities of color, and is a major partner in the Black Home Initiative. So Ali, excited to hear from you.
Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. And Kim, thanks for your intro on land trust. Very well explained. I'm gonna steal some of that later. So again, hi, my name is Ali. I'm a Director of Homeowner Services at Habitat. So today I'm going to talk some about our model in Seattle, King County, the general selection criteria, and how we create affordable homes as far as that goes. So with Habitat, our Seattle, King County location has been here since 1986. Last count, we're nearing 500 housing solutions since we've been in existence, and we're hoping to hit 1,000 in the next few years. So we're definitely growing exponentially. What Habitat does, what we do is we provide affordable home ownership by keeping, first off, the cost of building the homes down. We build the homes. We then use what we get volunteer labor and donated materials, as well as support from city, state, local, and private funders to help keep the costs as low as possible. We then provide these homes to home buyers at an affordable payment. We set your payments to be no more than 30 or 35% of your income, your gross income, and the difference between what you can afford at that payment and the price of the home, Habitat covers. That's basically how we work. Now, what that means for you is, if you're a home buyer, is that your payment is going to be something that's very affordable. For most people, for most of the homes we have, it's between $1,500 and $2,500 a month payment, depending on your household size and income. But again, that's going to be no more than 30% of your income. There's 3 criteria for anyone interested in participating in the Habitat program that you must meet. The first one is you need to have a need for housing. And that means that you need to either be in overcrowded housing, maybe you're paying too much for housing, meaning that you pay more than 30% of your income now for your rent. You're not on a lease. That means you're either a roommate or living with friends or family. Maybe you're in substandard housing. Maybe you're in subsidized housing like Section 8 or Seattle Housing or some other sort of housing. Any of those would be a need that would allow you to qualify for our program. The second is that you have the ability to pay. You're able to afford the home with that 30% payment without being overly cost burdened. So all of our homes, when we list them, we list a payment range so they can see for yourself if this home would be affordable for you or not. And as part of the ability to pay, is your income can't be over our income maximum, which is 80% median income for your household size. The last piece is with us is your willingness to partner with us. This is the cornerstone of what makes Habitat different. We ask all of our home buyers to help in the building of their home or their neighbor's home, what we call sweat equity hours. These are hours of labor that you're going to be putting into the home while we're finishing building it. The hours can also be done working in the office, in our stores. You can help us with continuing our mission and our message by sharing your story and helping to really get the word out as far as what Habitat has done for you potentially to help further our mission as well. And those are the three criteria. If you meet those three criteria, we would encourage you to apply. You'll notice one thing I didn't mention is you need to have a minimum credit score, or you need to have a minimum down payment. Or anything like that. There is going to be a cash contribution required for anyone participating with us, but it's not a requirement that you need to have it today. Also, we don't have a minimum credit score anymore. We ask that you apply with us if you can afford the payment, and we can then address to see if we can meet your other needs. For example, that debt barrier removal program we have may allow us to take care of some of the debts that are holding you back from buying a home. So I want to really emphasize, don't feel that because your credit's not a 680 or 700, you can't qualify for Habitat. Apply, and we'll definitely work with you. And if we can't, we'll provide solutions for you to get you ready for homeownership. And with that said, I'm going to end it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Short and sweet, but also had all the key details. That was great. So many wonderful opportunities through Habitat for Humanity. Our next presenter is Jennifer Henches with Spokane Neighborhood Action Partners, or SNAP. And Jennifer has been working in affordable homeownership for over 30 years. She is currently the Housing Counseling Program Manager for SNAP. And among the many programs that SNAP has to offer, they are a HUD-approved local housing counseling agency. So what that means is they offer home buyer education workshops, pre-purchase counseling, and mortgage delinquency and default resolution counseling. And I'm not going to steal any more of her thunder. She's going to share more about what that means and why SNAP is fabulous and what they can do to support home buyers and homeowners.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's a delight to be here. So SNAP is a community action agency in Spokane, Washington. We primarily serve the county of Spokane County, but some of the outlying counties. However, housing counseling works statewide. So we provide our services on a statewide basis. We offer homebuyer education, pre and post purchase counseling, and foreclosure prevention counseling, like Elizabeth said. And so I feel as though the very first thing to do when you are wanting to buy or planning to buy a home, or just exploring purchasing a home, is get some education. Homebuyer education is absolutely the first step when you embark upon that journey. There's so much to know about the process and so many things that you don't know that you'll learn. So what we have is a 5-hour course that we provide. It's sponsored by Washington State Housing Finance Commission. Once someone completes the course, they get a certificate. It's good for 2 years, and it can be used in conjunction with a mortgage loan to purchase a home. So that down payment assistance, you can apply for it once you have that certificate. We provide those seminars here locally 2 to 3 times a month, depending. We have them sometimes virtually, other times in person. We partner with the county libraries and provide those classes that really are a super comprehensive, very unbiased approach to learning about home buy or the home buyer process. Typically, we have one of our counselors that run the class, and they have guest speakers, a lender, a realtor, and a home inspector. The lenders are going to go over the mortgages and the qualifying guidelines, loans, disclosures, getting pre-approved, pretty much everything to do with borrowing the money to buy the home. Whereby the realtor is going to be the real estate professional that walks through, you know, what is it that you want to buy? What are your needs? What is the purchase and sale agreement? How to negotiate a price, contingencies, earnest money, closing and escrow. There's a lot to that side of it. And then the home inspector. That's the best one though, because you've got people that come in and talk about what's in the basement, what's in the crawl space, and what's in the attic, and it's pretty interesting sometimes. And they'll oftentimes bring pictures, so it's a lot of fun, but they do emphasize the importance of getting a home inspection, because there's nothing worse than getting into a new home and finding that you have huge expenses that were unplanned. So very important part of the home buying process. So those are the kinds of things that we talk about. The people that do attend the class are encouraged to meet with a counselor one-on-one. That allows them to go over their personal situation, determine if they're mortgage ready or if they're not. And if they're not, we'll work with you to try to figure out what it is that needs to be done, work on credit, work on budgeting, and we have programs that can help in those areas as well. So once we have a person that's a homeowner, then the trick is to maintain the home and to prevent foreclosure in the event of a financial crisis. And we go through all that with them as well. So it's a real comprehensive type of education, and you can find classes statewide at heretohome.com. That'll take you to the Washington State Housing Finance Commission's website. And whether you use their down payment assistance or not, it's a great education. If you're going to go buy a Habitat for Humanity home, for example, or some other project, education is key to all of that. So it's just important first step in buying a home. And so with that, I'll hand it back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciated your emphasis on home buyer education and really taking that holistic approach, right? Not just that excitement around purchasing, but also what do I do next after I purchase a home to make sure that there's that ongoing success and generational wealth building. And so with that, I want to transition to welcoming Brooke Gibson from Homesite. Brooke Gibson is a full-time lending professional with an educational and professional background in this arena. She has a genuine passion for helping people become homeowners, increasing Black homeownership, and building generational wealth. She is fully committed to offering the highest level of professionalism throughout the entire process and helps guide clients every step of the way. Brooke is a South Seattle native and proud mother of 2 children and believes strongly in giving back to her community. She has a dedication to customer service and works as a loan originator for Homesite, which I'm sure she'll talk more about what they do. I noticed a couple partners today from Homesite, a couple colleagues, and they're a powerhouse in affordable homeownership. So without further ado, I welcome Brooke.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, everyone. Homesite is a nonprofit mortgage lender and community development organization serving Washington State and has been creating homeowners and building communities for 30 years. Today, we're going to talk about the Homesite way to homeownership, which includes homebuyer education, homebuyer development and financial counseling, our mortgage lending and purchase assistance. Our homebuyer education course is offered in a 3-part series via Zoom once a month, and it covers things from the home buying process, our purchase assistance, buyer affordability, qualifying for loans, basically the financial basics, home financing, home maintenance, and mortgage default to ensure that not only can you get into a home, but that you can remain there and have financial security. Our pre-purchase counseling can be done at any point in the process. I'd recommend that it be taken in conjunction with the home buyer education. It helps people become mortgage ready. They start by doing a financial assessment, which includes going over income, including household income. They'll do a soft credit pull and go over it with the client. They'll talk about the debt to income ratio, prepare a budget, and include building up savings throughout that process. Our mortgage lending process goes from pre-approval. We offer both the first mortgage and the down payment assistance. That down payment assistance is automatically layered into a client's application. And I guide clients through pre-approval, through signing at escrow and getting their keys to their home. We offer about 10 different forms of down payment assistance that are layered according to borrower's eligibility. We offer a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage, a halal loan product, as well as the I-10 loan product that was mentioned earlier. Want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Our down payment assistance also covers Washington State. And those are in the forms of deferred loans as well as amortized loans, which are repaid at the same time as the first mortgage. Our interest rates come from the Washington State Housing Finance Commission. We follow their rates and guidelines. I am going to go ahead and turn it back over to you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. As I mentioned before, Homesite does so many things, and it's hard to capture what all of these great organizations do in such little time, but of course we will have our panel discussion shortly. Right now, I want to turn the time over to Marty Koistra. Before I do that, just a brief intro. Marty is a champion of coalition-based work at the intersection of community development, equity, and affordable housing, serving as a network weaver currently for Civic Commons. He is also a partner with Sapwood Advisors. He's an avid practitioner of network leadership. He was honored to serve as the executive director and board president of the Housing Development Consortium of Seattle King County, where he formed several coalitions and networks, including Seattle for Everyone. He's held multiple leadership roles with Habitat for Humanity locally, nationally, and globally, including CEO of the Seattle King County affiliate. He co-chairs the University of Washington's West Coast Poverty Center Housing Roundtable and serves on the Global Washington Board. Currently, Marty is the person keeping us all in tandem and working together as the very large and ever-growing Black Home Initiative Network does its work. Marty will share more about the Black Home Initiative and what it means for Black home buyers and homeowners in the Puget Sound area and hopefully beyond as this program scales. Marty, welcome.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth, and good to see all of you today. I'm going to go through these slides really quickly, catch us up on time here. And Jennifer has also put a full deck into the repository that you can access. How did we get here? Way back in March of 21, about 52 bankers gathered virtually with the help of the Roundtable and the Washington Bankers Association. We got the energy from that meeting that said, let's launch a plan, which created this 7-point plan to increase Black home ownership, connected that to a Center for Community Investment opportunity with 6 cities around the country with some seed money from JP Morgan Chase, and ultimately got us to the launch of BHI, or the Black Home Initiative, in March 2022. Next slide. So we're implementing this 7-point plan in South Seattle, South King County, and North Pierce County for a very specific reason. We've chosen that market to test pilot whether or not this 7-point plan, which we hope can actually be used in the Puget Sound region and across the state, and is being replicated in other parts of the country. Next slide. What are we trying to do? Well, by the end of December of 27, we hope to have 1,500 new LMI Black home buyers in place in that market, doubling that to 3,000 at the end of 2032. Next slide. We have a core team of key leaders. These folks are some of the folks you know. We're helping drive the strategy work, and then there's about 40 other full team members, we call it, who gather on a regular basis to also support that strategy. Next slide. Here's really probably the most important way to approach the concept of what we're trying to do. In order to make this happen, this shared priority, we need to increase the supply. We need to increase the number of mortgage-ready Black households who can sustain ownership, and we need to align the ecosystem. So the light blue at the top is all about pulling together the strategies that will get us into that supply realm. The dark blue in the middle is all the stuff we've been talking about. How do we coordinate intake and assessment? How do we do more around supporting loan officers, like the work Sabrina from Umpqua is doing and others, to get loan officers that are community-based how can we set up match savings programs, debt remediation funds, and stronger down payment assistance to make all that happen. And then the most important part in the green is whether or not, to Elizabeth's point, can we get this massive ecosystem that's been fragmented to actually move from an ecosystem to an ecosystem? What is it going to take on the policy front to make that happen? And of course, we've all rejoiced in the success of the Covenant's homeownership account work so far as an example of how we pull that together. Next slide, please. So for us, what's different? What's really different is the big bet on whether or not we can actually get a network to work. Is it possible for us to pull together in a way we never have before and focus on a shared priority and learn from that to expand what we do? Next slide. For us, it's really about the murmuration on the right, having the glue and the agility to move that network as a movement rather than the traditional way of thinking about how we pursue our work. And I believe that is the last slide I have. Thank you. Elizabeth, back to you.
Thank you so much, Marty, for your presentation and for keeping us all organized and moving forward. It's a big job, but Marty is serving as an amazing project manager and network weaver for the Black Home Initiative. Right now, we're going to transition to our panel and really dive deep into some affordable homeownership topics with our presenters today. So the first question I have is about the benefits of owning a home. So as an elder millennial, I remember all of the articles and sort of like, the news pundits talking about how, well, maybe home ownership isn't for everyone. And, millennials aren't just interested in home ownership, especially around the Great Recession. I feel like there was a lot of, and post-recession, there's a lot of that rhetoric. And so sometimes, we need to kind of get back to basics and talk about like, why does this matter anyway? So I want to start there. What are the benefits of owning a home? Let's start with Ali.
Sure. I think the biggest benefit with home ownership is having that inflation-proof monthly payment. So unlike your rent, with most mortgages that you buy, you get, it's going to be a fixed rate loan, which means that you'll have the same payment for the next 30 years for the mortgage. Now, portions of your payment will increase over the course of time. Taxes will go up. Inflation will probably cause your insurance to get a little bit higher as well. And if you're in a condo, your condo dues will probably go up, but they're not going to go up nearly at the speed that your rent would go up from a landlord. So that's really the benefit. So no matter what the housing market does, I'm a little more conservative financially. I usually look at it as a 10-year plan. So over a 10-year period, if you own a home, no matter what happens in the market, generally speaking, you're at least going to break even on the amount that you invested in the home. But you're going to take that every month advantage of having that inflation-proof monthly payment. That's with you no matter what happens to the value of your home.
Thanks so much, Ali. Jennifer, you work with a lot of folks looking to purchase their first home. And I know that you do a lot of financial education. What would you just say to someone who's unsure of the benefits of homeownership or whether it's for them? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. It's not necessarily something that everyone wants, obviously, because there is more to homeownership than just the home. You've got maintenance, you've got additional expenses. It may not be perfect for everyone, but what I would say to people is that it is something that will help build wealth. It'll help build generational wealth, hopefully, stability. You become part of a community. I would say that those are very important aspects. And also home ownership tends to create a stable community in itself for those around. Home ownership is a very stabilizing factor to a neighborhood and to a community. So I think that just the stability of a home that you call your own, that you can do what you please with, those are things that are invaluable to people.
Thanks, Jennifer. Brooke, when you and I met recently, you shared your experience of home ownership and resources that you tapped into in order to take those steps. Um, when we think about your personal as well as your professional experience, maybe you can share a little bit about first steps that you would advise for someone who is considering buying a home. Where should they start?
I would say start with either a conversation with a lender, just to kind of familiarize yourself with the process so that it doesn't sound intimidating, or to simply hop into a home buyer education course. I personally bought my home using resources from HomeSite. Ali was my LO at the time. I didn't know what that job title meant. I didn't know anything about the home buying process, and he made it seem very stress-free for me. So, and I think the greatest benefit for me has been the stability for my children to grow up in a nice neighborhood and not have to be shuffled back and forth with a lot of moving and uncertainty. You know, you get to sustain more lifelong friendships that way. And the stability of having a somewhat stable housing payment, as Ali said, property tax will shift, right? But those things can be expected and you can plan for those.
Thank you. The next question is for Jennifer and Brooke. We'll start with Jennifer and then Brooke, if you have additional thoughts. SNAP and HomeSite both have HUD certified housing counselors as a resource for home buyers and homeowners. What are the benefits of working with a HUD certified housing counselor on your homeownership journey?
Well, I think one of the major benefits is just the guidance that they provide. They can walk through the process with you, answer questions along the way. It's not just a one-stop, you're done type of situation. There's somebody that can be there to hold your hand, walk you through each step to help you resolve any kind of issues that are barriers to home ownership, make a plan, and just to kind of walk you through the process. It might take a few months, it might take a few years, but there's no time limit to getting help from a housing counselor, a HUD certified counselor. They're there to help. And if you need to come back a couple times, that's fantastic. And some people's journey, you know, they start and they stop and then they come back to it. But we're always here to be able to walk you through that journey.
I agree with everything that Jennifer said. Clients have an opportunity to work in a really judgment-free zone as they become mortgage ready. There's no harm to their credit, which may be intimidating as they're walking through the process. That credit pool is a soft pool, so it doesn't impact your scores. And you get to understand what is the credit industry reporting about you so that you can remedy some of those things. Preparing a budget helps you do that. That's a lifelong thing that we all have to do. So I think that's really helpful for people to know even before they jump into home ownership themselves, you know, start in the renting phase and then prepare for the home buying.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Brooke said, you know, that budget is so critical. And a lot of people don't budget, but you really need to be able to look at that budget. You need to be able to plan for unforeseen expenses and start creating a budget that includes a savings account for the new roof, the appliances, the things, the furnace that goes out. And so to sit down and really go through that with someone and to really make a solid plan and then stick to it and practice it moving forward so that when you do get into a home, you're able to maintain it and to be able to manage the expense of a home.
Absolutely. Thank you both. So we've talked a little bit about organizations like the ones featured here, where you all as service providers, those of you who are service providers, can make referrals, that you can refer clients to us for homeownership help. I want to transition just a little bit, and we'll start with Kim and then Marty. What are some other ways that service providers here on this call today might be able to support prospective home buyers? And what else do home buyers need that we can support them with?
Great question, Elizabeth. Thank you. So I firmly believe in the value of stories. And so service providers can scrub names out of the story, but as you're meeting with new prospective home buyers and they are telling you what they're concerned about or excited about, being able to tell a corollary story helps them feel A, like they're not the only one, B, like there really is pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So that's one. And another one is to, after they have the keys, stay in touch, because I started in this industry more than 20 years ago, and there are people on this call that I communicate with more than once a year, who I did work with them almost 20 years ago. And there are people from even that first year of lending that I'm still in connection with. And it's not like I do this big, it's not overt. I just leave the door open, or the phone, the phone is ready, because it can be stressful to be faced with new information. And so even if I don't have the answer, people will email me or text me and say, hey, how do I deal with this? And I go, oh, blah, blah, blah. So that would be one of the big things. In addition to referrals, stay connected.
Elizabeth, I'll just quickly add a couple of things. I think they've already been said, but I'll probably express them in a little different way. First of all, for a vast majority of people, homeownership is a journey, it's not an event. And that means that we need to be committed to walking alongside of people in relationship for a period of time to support them on that journey. Otherwise, there's too many things that can distract, dissuade, and discourage people from actually making it across that finish line. Second, I think that expectations really matter, and it's important to be very clear. There was testimony given by Brooke about Ollie's ability to make those expectations clear. And it's really necessary to help people truly understand what they're getting into. And in fact, it may be true that the journey will include rungs on a ladder, whereas you may need to be into some kind of subsidized program, limited equity co-op, community land trust at first. That doesn't mean that's an end state. Habitat's never been an end state. It's just a rung on the ladder. And then finally, I'll say that readiness matters. And while none of us can deny anyone access to an application for credit, it's really damaging when we have people apply before they're ready and then we send them an adverse action letter. The psychology of that has implications sometimes for generations. And so to whatever degree we can work with people to say, let's work on your readiness before we go ahead and trigger the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and its subsequent requirements to make a decision in 30 days.
If I could tap into what Marty said, I really appreciate you you touching on not harming people's credit just so that you could process an application to give unfortunate news, right? When I come across a client who is not yet ready, I explain to them that, I can't tell you not to apply, but I can tell you that it would be better for you to maybe work with counseling, have them pull your credit, see what's being reported, and when you're ready, they will cycle you back to me so that we're all on the same page. Thank you for highlighting that.
So with that, I have a question about lending. So Ali, Kim, Brooke, whoever wants to take this one on first, what about finding the right lender who is going to, back you up and give you honest information the way Brooke just shared? There are many lenders out there. What advice would you have for someone who is on this homeownership journey, wants to purchase their first home, and they want to sift through all the noise and potential scams and everything and look for a lender that really will have their back and be able to provide them with a loan that makes sense for their situation?
So I have a canned answer for that. First of all, lots of people, well-intentioned people say, oh, my cousin's boyfriend's sister is a mortgage lender or a real estate broker. You can substitute any of a number of roles. But anyways, and no, you're a first-time home buyer. The last person you should be working with is a first-time home anything elser. right? You need to be working with a seasoned, experienced mortgage originator who knows first-time home buyer loans, a seasoned, experienced real estate broker if you're using open market, who understands first-time home buyer needs as they look at properties. But then here's the other piece. You also, once you find that short list of folks that you can work with, you also need to know that they communicate the way you need to be communicated with, that they are accessible in the way that you need them to be accessible. Doesn't do any good to work with someone who only uses the phone if you only text, right? That's just not a fit. Or someone who's only available at night and you have your time is during the day, or weekends versus the day. So it's first of all, experience matters. And second of all, just style fit.
I agree with what Kim said, and to add to that, I would say a lender who meets you where you are, somebody that can guide you through the process, that's really patient enough to explain what's available to you. They're not in a hurry to get an application and close a loan. If you're not ready, they're committed to telling you how to become ready so that you can return to them, whether it take a month or 2 years to come back and eventually purchase.
Thank you, Brooke and Kim. So as someone is trying to find the best lending arrangement, the best property, they're really trying to do their due diligence. We know that scams are common. Red flags are out there. Ali, share with us a little bit about what people should look out for as they're embarking on this process.
Well, I would give this recommendation, especially if you're ready to apply for a mortgage, right before you apply with someone, if you haven't already done so, sign up for opt-out pre-screen. So optoutsprescreen.com will make it so after you apply for a mortgage, you're not going to get 100 calls from other loan officers trying to get you to apply with them as well. So that would be the main thing you should do before you apply with your chosen person. Kim and Brooke gave excellent advice as far as who you should go with. Really, so notice that neither one of them talked about the best rate. Nobody talks about that because guess what? Everybody's getting the money from the same place. Everyone's rates are basically the same. So you just choose the person that you like that works best with you. That's the most important thing.
Thank you, Ali. Such great advice. Marty, would you have anything to add to that? Red flags or things that people might want to look out for as they embark on this journey and proceed along the path?
Well, look, I'll just simply say the architect Bill McDonough years ago told me that everything that we use to build our homes is trying to naturally return to its point of origin. So maintenance is an intervention in natural processes. In other words, homes are things that require a lot of love and attention. Now, that's not necessarily intended to discourage people from buying a home, but the first thing you don't want to do is go ahead and make that decision without having a truly trained and qualified inspector look at the product and tell you what you're getting into. There are so many hidden areas of concern that can pop up and totally wreck your home buying experience and your credit and everything else. And so that's not meant to discourage people, but to just be smart about what's taking place, not to be hoodwinked by the moment of the glamorous and the beautiful and the aesthetic detail, but also pay attention to the functional detail.
That's such helpful advice, Marty. For our final question before we turn it over to audience questions. So someone buys a home. Now what? What tools are available to empower people to keep their homes? So I would love to turn that question first to Jennifer, and then Kim, Ali, if you have additional things to add.
So I think one of the biggest issues that a homeowner might find they run into is when they have some financial crisis. And people do, you don't plan for that. And so I think one of the main things with homeownership is to be prepared as much as you can for unforeseen. That means save money. That means reach out to a counselor, reach out to somebody like a HUD-approved default counselor to help you if you fall into a situation where you are unable to make your mortgage payments. Oftentimes we find that people, once they have a home and they're in the home and things are going along, great. And then all of a sudden there's a life event that just jumps right out at you, and you're not prepared. And that's the worst feeling, is to not be prepared for that. And I know you can't prepare for everything, but I think it's really important to try to be a little bit prepared with some type of savings. And then if you do need help, reach out early. Don't wait. Don't wait months and months till the problem just becomes unmanageable. Reach out immediately to your mortgage company, to a counselor, to someone that's going to be able to help you walk through the process and try to resolve the issue before it gets out of control. And then on the other side, besides the foreclosure issues, you've got to remember maintenance is key. Like what Marty was saying, houses can turn into a real nightmare when it comes to maintenance sometimes. So stay on top of it, and make sure you take care of your home. It'll pay in the long run.
Thank you. And I just added our website for Washington Homeownership Resource Center. Again, as a reminder, as Jennifer, as you're talking about HUD certified housing counselors and all the resources available, if people are like, how for all this, first of all, Jennifer Quiros is sending out information, and it's available in the links that she has shared. And then also you have WHRC available through our website, portal, and hotline, where you can just give us a call. And we actually do what are called on-call referrals to Jennifer Henches and her team at SNAP, folks at Urban League, and so many other wonderful people statewide who can help provide supports around foreclosure prevention, owner-occupied home repair, pre-purchase counseling, all the things that we're talking about today. So we have just a few more minutes before we transition to audience questions. Any final thoughts on what to do after you've purchased the home? Yeah, Kim, I saw your hand.
I just wanted to follow up on what Jennifer said, and I teach this in first-time homebuyer class. As you transition from being a tenant who pays in advance to being a homeowner who pays in arrears, you have the perfect opportunity to set up automatic transfers into a separate savings account. I highly recommend a separate savings account in a different bank, a different institution. Half of your mortgage payment per paycheck, which for most people means you're going to do 26 of these half payments into that savings account, but you're going to call it a mortgage account. And the reason you're going to call it that with that deep, scary voice is because actually Americans love to defend their homes, and they're very fierce about it. So as long as you don't call it savings, but you call it mortgage, then you're going to hold it sacred. And after 3 years, you'll have 3 extra mortgage payments sitting in that mortgage account. I know it's cornball, but it works like a champ.
Great advice. I just wanted to tap into what we talked about earlier in terms of looking for a lender. It's important to also explore lenders that want to ensure that you have some form of reserves after you close on your home, so that you could tap into the mortgage account that Kim talked about for those emergencies. And as Jennifer mentioned, to prepare for future home maintenance. So 2 months is nice, 6 months would be ideal.
Wonderful. So we have some time left over that we wanted to devote to audience questions. So I'm glad that our panelists have been so generous with their time today to be able to continue to share their expertise in this Q&A segment. So one of the questions I saw in the chat earlier, and I think you addressed this a little bit, Ali, but a question was, how can folks find the best rates or today's best rates? What are some good resources that you all recommend as people are exploring rates available?
I mean, I think bankrate.com is a good enough source. I always steer away from focusing on what rates are doing. If you're in the market to buy a home, talk rates with your lender that you're working with. As far as that goes, they're really going to have their finger on the pulse for that. But if you're just wondering what rates are doing, Bankrate's a great place to look if you're just wondering.
Thank you, Ali. Other questions from audience members today? Jennifer Quiros, I was kind of trying to scour the chat there and I might have missed one.
Well, I have a question. This is for Kim. Where do folks find more information about community land trusts in other locations? So you're in Snohomish County, but what about folks that are in other places in the state? Where might we find that information?
Great question. The Northwest Community Land Trust Coalition website is nwcltc.org. I'll put it in the chat in a minute. You can also just email me because I'm the membership director, so I know all of the CLTs around.
So you heard it here first. You all have an in. And I mentioned this in the chat, but I'll just say it out loud too. There is a document in that box.com folder that has all of our panelists' contact information. So you're able to go in there and get folks' email addresses if you have questions or want to connect afterwards.
Thank
Any other-
you. Other questions? Looks like we have a question from Samantha. Great info about WHRC. Was looking at the repairs section of the site, and I think those resources are great. Are there other resources available to help with repairs on homes? Let's start with, well, Ali, you were raising your hand. We'll start there.
Yeah, so Habitat, we, besides home ownership, we also have a repair division. And we do repairs in King and Kittitas counties, from minor repairs, beautification or neighborhood cleanup type repairs to major home repairs like roofs. So definitely contact us. You can apply online at that same website, buyhabitat.org, and see if you qualify, or just call us.
Thank you. Others, I know on the Spokane side, Jennifer, you all are involved with some. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, SNAP does have a weatherization program, home repair program, and single family rehab. Single family rehab is could be anything, a roof, in a new bathroom, whatever. And that's specific to the city of Spokane, but the rest of the weatherization, home repair, cooling, summer cooling, air conditioning, that sort of thing is all available through SNAP in their website.
Thank you. And before we move on to the next question that I see in the chat, just as far as home repair and modification services, those programs vary widely, right, across our state, and it can be a little bit daunting if somebody needs support to find out what's available and how to get it and do I qualify. And so that's why we have that home ownership hotline. People are welcome to give us a call and let us do that legwork for you, because sometimes there's short-term programs, you know, maybe a grant that a nonprofit has received for a certain amount of time to provide home repairs. There's new programs popping up all the time. Some cities and counties offer repair services, others do not. Some are specific to certain populations. So like aging in place programs, or there might be programs specific to folks with disabilities and so on and so forth. So rather than get frustrated, give WHRC a call, and we have information and referral specialists who, again, can do that legwork for you. We've got our sort of, you know, Rolodex of resources, and we're happy to help make those connections. That also helps us identify gaps, frankly, too, like when we're noticing trends, you know, in particular areas, and maybe there's service gaps. That's really helpful to know and to be able to inform our network.
I have a follow-up question, Elizabeth, about that, only because I've been in on these conversations, but I know that there are sometimes classes offered on home maintenance and repair. And I'm wondering if that's something that the Homeownership Resource Center maintains a list, or if anyone could speak to that as well.
I'm going to defer to the panelists here. I know that there are some folks who do that through, like I know some Habitat chapters do, but does anyone know of any that either your organizations offer or that you would like to mention? Yeah, Kim. Oh, you're on mute, Kim.
Oh, it was working. Sorry. Homes and Hope Community Land Trust teaches a maintenance class about every other month.
That's another one too, where I think if you call the resource center, we do know of some specific nonprofits that offer them in their areas. I'm not sure about one that is offered statewide, though. I'd have to dig a little deeper and find out about them, unless anyone else knows. That's the part where I'm like, I'm not sure, because a lot of them are in person, or they're like specific to their areas, or, you know, like to that CLT or that, you know, Habitat affiliate.
I do most of mine on Zoom, so they're accessible. I'll shoot you
Oh,
the,
that's awesome.
the
Yeah. And are yours available to anyone statewide, or just to Homes and Hope homeowners? Or tell us a little bit more about that.
oh no, CLTs are open source. They're available to anyone.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay. We need to spread the word about that. Boost your attendance rates. You'll soon have people statewide just chiming in. So that's great. Thank you. Let's see. Someone in the chat mentioned that they are looking to purchase out of state. I know that this is a Washington focused discussion today, but does anyone know of national resources that someone could look into for community land trust?
I put it in the chat. Grounded Solutions Network, over 250 community land trusts. Actually, the number may now be as high as 300 nationwide.
Thank you, Kim. Other questions from our group today?
Well, I'll ask another question. And this is for Marty. If folks are wanting more information or to get involved in the Black Homeownership Initiative, what's the best way to get connected?
Super, yeah, appreciate the question. So the easiest way is to go to the BHI website. And if you're wanting to join the effort as an organization, there's a very low bar. We call it a BHI Partner Pledge. And it's a very simple set of gives and gets. There's right now, I think, 68 organizations, financial institutions, and public sector groups. This morning, the Tacoma Chamber of Commerce just joined. So there's folks wrapping their arms around that. Once you become a BHI partner, you get a little welcome message from Maisha on our team, and you get a list of all the project teams that are actively working. There are people on this call like Musa, Tina Labouvet, Ali, many others who are active, Elizabeth, in guiding these project teams, and you can get plugged in at that level as well. And then, of course, moving beyond that, there are several funds that we have in place, including a capacity building fund and a pre-development fund, and soon a debt support fund that you can provide resources for if your organization, financial institution wants to do that as well.
So I have a question for you all. You've shared many varied resources related to affordable homeownership. Talk to us about interpretation services, translation. Folks might encounter linguistic barriers and cultural barriers when they are looking to become homeowners or wanting to keep their homes. So share a little bit about how you address that.
I'll speak briefly as far as what we do. We're fortunate enough to have a couple of bilingual employees here that help with folks that are Spanish speaking that want to apply for homeownership. But other languages, we will employ a translation service. Our website has a translation function on it, so you can translate it to various languages. And we try to focus most people to go to the website to apply. Unfortunately, when it comes to signing documents, all that's in English though. So we don't do any translations on those types of documents.
Very similar to what Ali said. I just hired a fluent Spanish bilingual home ownership assistant, and we hire a translator for especially going over the lease and understanding how that is different. And when it comes to closing documents, yes, they are in English.
So we also have very similar where again, Tokwadali and Kim have, our website has the translation option. We also have translation services and a few different bilingual. We have a counselor that speaks Russian and a new Spanish speaking individual, not on our team, but at our core. So we have help there, but we always have the translation service available and it's on demand. So that's a very helpful tool for us.
Thank you. And it looks like there's a question in the chat about the FDIC's affordable mortgage lending guides. Has anyone had experience with those and have they found them to be helpful?
I use the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau stuff. I don't necessarily agree with it all, but it's available in many languages and it's pretty accessible in terms of vocabulary.
Thank you. We've got just a few more minutes. Any additional questions that folks have today for our panelists?
Elizabeth, I see Sabrina is here. She's a community lending officer. I wonder if she might be willing to just say a word or two, if she can be allowed to speak about what community lending officers are and what they're doing differently.
It's a great idea. Thank you. And welcome, Sabrina.
Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. So community lending here at Umpqua, we're focused on 4 key areas. Our department was actually, it's a fairly new community team, and we're really focused on communities within our footprint and working with nonprofit housing organizations to find out how we can assist them and how we can assist them in approaching first-time home buyers in different areas. Also, we're working with the Black Homeowners initiative. We've been working with them to see how we can help support their initiative. Also, the Black Real Estate associations and Hispanic Homeowners Association as far as what initiatives they're working on and how we can help those organizations as well. So right now we have a loan officer, well, not a loan officer, but a lending officer in the state of California. We have one in Oregon. I do apologize. I have allergies, so my throat is a little scratchy today. So I do apologize for that. But we also have a representative in Oregon. So there's 3 of us. I am in the state of Washington. I cover Washington and Idaho. So we're really just looking for ways to help low to moderate income families get into homes.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I'm going to turn the time over to Jennifer Quiros now, our event organizer and host.
Great. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone who participated in this. Thank you, Elizabeth from the Washington Homeownership Resource Center, for keeping us on time and all together. Thank you to Kim, Ali, Jennifer, Brooke, and Marty for your presentations and answering questions. And also our planning team, which includes Dashari Gunaratne and Abby McCutcheon and So thank you to everyone who participated in putting this together today. Let's give them a big round of virtual applause. Thank you very much. I just dropped a link in the chat. Your feedback is very important to us. If you could take just a moment and fill out our brief survey, it would be greatly appreciated. We do look at that every time we do a workshop. We look at your feedback and it helps inform future events. So if you could just take a couple of moments, that would be really helpful. And then just a couple of reminders that our next workshop is July 11th, Preventing Fraud and Avoiding Scams with the Washington Attorney General's Office. It's going to be a good one, so register now. And our financial coaching network next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, from 2 to 3:30. If you are not on the calendar invite and you would like to join that group, there's the link to do so. We will be taking this information from today's workshop and really thinking about as folks, as financial coaches or in whatever role we have, how do we talk with folks about these big, bold dreams, whether it's home ownership or other big dreams that folks have? How do we help support folks in getting ready and getting to where they want to be in their goals? So please join us next week for that. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It is great to see you all, and thank you to the panelists. The recording should be available in the next couple of days. So if you'd like to share it out, I will send out that link and it will be on our YouTube channel. And I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and we will see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.